Hello everybody, thank you for joining the channel. Today we will be learning to cross hatch, or how to fade or darken shading that is just comprised of lines. So to begin, we will just put down this oval shape. Try to do it this way that it's pointier here and here, because we're going to be doing a face, head and a bit of the neck right there. So 2 arcs like that, just 3 arcs, though that much apart, and we will just put down a generic head around this oval. You could take that solid line right through and come in a little bit here. Put down generic nose. There's the chin. Generic set of ears. Generic. So the purpose is that we are not really doing anything fancy in terms of anatomy here, but just putting down the sketch of a face to examine some crosshatch options. And there is our face. So we will try this with a pen. Once you have your pencil sketch done, and again, it doesn't have to be anything that is precisely like this one, or for that matter like any other sketch, unless you are doing a project or have an assignment. Then of course you can go a little farther, but again, a repeat exercise does not hurt. So those are just some key lines that we have put in. So now to work out a shade, let us assume that there's a light coming in from this direction. So it's illuminating this side of the face. And then there's all those wrinkles and all those corners that we have to look to cover. But again, we are not doing this exercise in light and dark and or you could say shadows. We are doing this exercise to explore some crosshatch options. So we will start off, we will take this area here, the temple, let's say, because that is where the shadow starts falling. And here's where just a set of lines is what we are going to do. Try to go this way and put in evenly even lines. Even means that you're not fading anywhere, just fading toward the end. So again, let's try this here. So it's fading toward the end. But now the same exercise we're going to. So now we are going to explore in the same area a different kind of it's the same technique, but different in the sense that we're going to go around here and try to fade it out. So here goes, even lines, even lines, even, and fade. Fade as in that you have to both diminish the strokes and the length of the lines as well to make it fade out. Now that is not normally how the cheekbones or the side of are shaded, but I'm just trying to like illustrate that this is the technique that is used to fade out when we're doing shading, cross hatching. The same thing also applies with a pencil actually. So let's say that we were to go side by side here with the pencil, and so even so again even, and then here just to mimic this, even and fade. So it's just the amount of pressure that you are changing. So let's go a little like freehand here. Fade. Fade. Inside here. Fade. Here, let's go on to the top of the eyebrow and put in some effect lines. So I'll go from here so that you can see this more clearly. And we go and fade. Similarly here, fade, fade. So it's very easy actually. And what it ends up being is, if you keep going with this right here, fade, and then the other way to do this is to have entirely black areas first. For example, right behind that flesh of the nose, of the nostril, and then fade on the lips. Don't need that here, but right here. So a little black there to cast a little shadow, and then fade. Right here, let's get some little bony structure in the jaw. Fade. And in between here, straighter lines, but fade. And you could always go back and darken certain areas, and then you will see that you will be able to achieve multiple effects there. And here under the neck, let's go and experiment somewhat here. So a little bit of, well, there's not a little bit of shadow there because the chin is, let's do a little fade there. The chin is like dropping a little low over the neck here than it is here, so there will be a shadow cast here. And we will use the same thing, darker tone first, filled in, and we can always come back and fill it, and then flow of lines, fade. You could do the same here with the Adam's apple, just to have an Adam's apple there. Fade. Fade, and then in between that also fade. So again, it doesn't have to be, some areas require cross hatching to be more, what you say, like prominent throughout, rather than having a fade effect, and it sometimes looks good that way. Right here, let's try behind the cranium and the ear. That's an area that will cast a shadow in this case, since the light is falling on from that side. So here we go. This is the point where I was mentioning that it is prominent right through to the end. But of course, but again, the lines are fading regardless as you are putting the stroke from origin point across, And if I really go heavy on the inking here, which I do not need to, but I'm just illustrating, that can be more of the dark and fade practice. So multiple things, like there are no set rules here to experiment with this stroke dark and fade out technique right here. Same technique again, filled in and then prominent strokes and fade, even to like meet that line somewhere. So just gives it a little more character right here, right below the cheek, right below the eye on the cheek. So there, fade again. And here, of course, we can use prominent throughout to fill this area in. Again, depending on the light that we are using, prominent and filled in right through. You can go again, as I said, like you could revisit the area to keep filling it in. Maybe you need it darker for the most part, and then again to round off, fade. Just trying to get a pattern going there. So again, you have to explore different results on Google, and you have to experiment with your own. I'm just like going all over here, even in areas that I do not necessarily might not shade, but I'm just trying to put in some lines there in every nook and cranny to illustrate how even like random cross hatching can actually enrich your artwork. Right here under the nose, let's go through again that fill and fade. In fact, let's do some of that here. Let's add in the line here, like a dimple sort of line, and fade. And even some artists go for the chin here. If you know the guy has a mullet, well, this one does actually, and the top of the chin, fade. So just to illustrate different points of how you could go about using crosshatch points of consistent fill, differently placed lines going in different directions, and of course the very essential fade lines. So right here, fade, and I might even go a little bit like so. So as you see, that little lines, but that go really far in terms of casting an effect to make your artwork stand out, please do Google different images, check out the work of different artists, and you will be surprised by how much you could achieve by using an amalgam of different lines to enrich the tone and the depth of your artwork. So that is it for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this was of some help in terms of crosshatch, another crosshatch technique, a very popular one, and one that requires a lot of practice. I would recommend practicing with the pencil first. It always looks a little more blended, is more easier to work with than the pen, but then you could always try with the pen as well. If it's practice, there is no harm in messing up. So do not be afraid to try different things after looking up different images. Please do like and subscribe, keep in touch. Have yourself a wonderful day.